good morning, or good afternoon, I should say, Darren. Done my homework this week, you'll be pleased to hear, and I see we had a 2-0 victory at Dorchester. Were you happy with the performance?
Yeah, I thought it was better. It was a little bit more. There was a little bit more of a kind of the last season's backbone in the side though as well. So, you know, when you kind of start stitching them together like that at this stage of pre-season, then of course they're going to refer to what they already know. And I think we only had maybe Staunton and Leadbitter were probably the only two, and Clark, so it was 3 new players in that starting 11. But yeah, no, it was okay. Physically, I thought we were good. It was nice to go and do the 3G thing, the artificial pitch thing, because obviously we have quite a few of those games in our division. But yeah, it was okay. We didn't get, no one really got hurt from it. So plus.
For the uninitiated, I mean, what difference does it make playing on a 3G surface compared to grass? I mean, I know the bounce is different, so-called, because it's sort of a solid base underneath the top surface, but I just wondered, you know, from a point of view of your planning.
No, there's like grass pitches. There's some really good ones and some really bad ones. I mean, I'm not going to name them because it's unfair and it'll probably come back to bite me. But you know, some of the ones we play on in the National League are very, very poor, very poor. I mean, so you know, it's just, but it's no different. Yeah, you're right. The ball does stand up a little bit more once it hits the surface. It definitely pops up. Whereas a nice greasy grass surface, it would hit the floor and almost like a stone hitting the lake. When you skim it, it kind of zings off again. No, it's okay. There's a bit of a myth around it. I mean, all of the nonsense that went on for years about an increase in injuries and stuff like that is nonsense. I grew up playing on streets and concrete and things like that. You never got any injuries when you was young doing that, did you? So it was okay. It was okay. It was a bit of a better performance, that's for sure.
And a goal for Jack Clark.
Yeah.
I was expecting you to enlarge it a little bit.
No, look, Jack's been. I said this over the last couple of weeks. Jack's been excellent in pre-season. I mean, talk about really hit the ground running. He's been very good for us and shows a lot of qualities, especially you know since Hippolyte has left the club. That left foot, his aerobic capacity, his intelligence, his teamwork, everything really has been very good, and maybe something that he doesn't have to commit to as much at his parent club, but he has to score goals for us. You have to do something as a midfield player for me, otherwise you can't play. You know, if you're not scoring one or making one or stopping one, then what is the point here? There's no point. You can't just be in there to be neat and tidy and keep the ball and keep things ticking over. That's tosh. I've never brought into that. So, you know, it's important he brings a dynamic. What I really liked about him, especially first half, was his vision and awareness to try and slide people in. You know, it's a really difficult technique. It's a very difficult attribute to execute in the National League because the games are so chaotic and quite destructive at times. But he showed a real vision, an appreciation of his pass to try and slide people in on goal one-on-one, and you know that's a very fine trait to have. I mean, no disrespect to anyone that I've left out here, but I'd probably say Lawson Diath is the only other one that can do that or does do that or try and do that. But I thought his vision and awareness for those passes on Tuesday were very good.
No new injuries, problems to cause a problem. So
no, just
Carl Dickinson got the second goal. I mean, bit of a change for him to score a goal, wasn't it?
Well, it's become a bit of a running joke, but I want to kind of flip the thinking behind that, because Carl takes an awful amount of criticism from me for his free kicks, and at times we do it in a jovial way. At times I do it in a very serious way, a very assertive way. But Carl keeps going up there and taking them. And I'm not one of those managers that dictates penalty takers or direct free kick takers. The players should understand their capabilities, and those that are good should be on them, and those that are not very good should get out of the way. It's very simple. But Carl keeps repeatedly putting himself in that position. And it kind of shows to me the difference between the Carl Dickinsons of the world now, and especially young people. You know, his resilience. I mean, you know, there's been some heated conversations about Carl's direct free kicks in the past, but he keeps going there. He keeps going there. It's almost become a "I'll prove you wrong" type situation, and it just shows the mental resilience he has. Because I'm hardly shy in retiring, and I'm hardly a delicate character, but he keeps putting himself out there and he keeps doing it, and it's probably broken now a mental block in his mind. It's definitely opened up my mind to him in those positions, and I just think it's a wonderful attribute to have resilience, to have a second skin, a thick skin. And Carl showed that the other night. It doesn't matter that it's Dorchester. It doesn't matter, when it comes to direct free kicks, you've got to beat a wall and a goalkeeper. And it doesn't matter who's in that wall or who's the goalkeeper. You've still got to beat them. And I thought he did it really, really well. And scarily enough, made him top goal scorer for pre-season. Worrying, I know.
So maybe the floodgates are open now.
Yeah, maybe. I just think it was. When I was driving back Tuesday night with Terry, I alluded to Terry, and it made me think yesterday. The one thing we can't now impart on young people is to create a resilience and a robustness that sees them through their adolescence, and gives them a good foundation, because the world's not built that way anymore. But you think about Carl and you think about his journey, even his time here with us. His resilience and his robustness here has been second to none. So I thought it actually sort of amplified his character traits, his qualities, and why I respect and value him so much in our squad.
I know the shape of the team is largely dependent on who you're playing and whatever style you decide to play. But you had two different shapes on when was it, Tuesday night? Do you feel the team are getting used to the sort of shapes you want to play when it comes to the final games now? We're getting close to the National League start.
Yeah, the more importantly to me is not the numerical start-up or set-up, it's the strategy and the beliefs behind the team, and the beliefs haven't changed from last year. So you do start to get a bit of continuity. It's taken quite a while for us to kind of execute that vision, that plan, but I think the numerical setups are irrelevant. The numerical setups, as you've alluded to, are based on who's fit and available, really, and trying to always work to a round peg in a round hole. But the strategy of the team, the way we play, the way we attack, the way we defend, is always the same. So regardless of we have 3 defenders or 4, 3 midfielders or 4, or 3 forwards or 2 forwards or 1 forward, so we always have this kind of blueprint or guide that runs through the team in terms of what's expected of them, because that's the only way to be. And then hopefully I'll put people in the right areas at the right times, and we get the most out of them. But I was pleased Tuesday to see very similar work to what we did last year. We did play with the two different systems just to utilise the players that were available. Courtney and Reese had some indifferent 48-hour period in terms of their training, so we wanted to kind of allow them to share the game, the aggregate of the game, and that meant utilising an extra midfield player rather than a second forward. So no, it's good. It's all good. It's something we've done before. It's nothing. It wasn't a big shock. We used it last year, and I'm sure we'll use it again this year.
I think I'm right in saying 2 games left now, pre-season, before the big kick-off. You're happy with the progress. You're happy you're going in the right way now. Do you think?
I'm not unhappy. I wouldn't say I was. The squad was never going to be ready after COVID by October. It was never going to be ready. We've still got 16 players. 16 players is not going to last you through a 10-month campaign. And in that 16, we've got some very young, some very inexperienced, and we've also got some lads who had bad injury spells last year. So it's not a 16-man squad of 25-year-old pluses who have all played 150 games plus. It's a very varied 16. So I don't think the squad's ready for the season. The team will be ready to start the season. I think that's a completely different conversation. The starting 11, whoever that is, and there's plenty of games for everyone to obviously grab that start. But starting 11 will be ready, I think, and but the squad, will need to develop that during the season.
So onwards to Bath City now. Any new players coming in? Any new trialists? Any potential signings around the corner?
Yeah, we're trying to work with a couple of clubs at the minute on the loans, some of the young players, but that's really about it. In terms of other permanent signings, there are, excuse the term, plates are spinning, but they're nowhere near to be falling off, and for me to have to try and catch them before they smash. I think that'll be a waiting game. I really do, and we all know right here, right now. You go on any news outlet, there's a lot of grim and negativity around the short-term future of our country and the decisions it's going to make in terms of regionalised lockdowns, nationwide lockdowns, etc. You go on one outlet and go on another one, you can hear almost sort of a varied approach to what's going on. So I think why that's going on, the uncertainty obviously creates uncertainty about when supporters are going to be allowed back in the stadiums. So, and listen, there's no easy way to say it. Without supporters being in the stadium, one, it's a really, really dull game, really dull. And two, without that turnover, that is the economy of football. Supporters are the economy of football. So without that, I would have thought we'll be without 16.
Spectators, seem to be coming back in though. I mean, I gather there's going to be maybe several games on Saturday that are going to have 1,000 odd people in. That surely is a good sign, though, wouldn't you not think?
Yeah, it's a good sign. It's 1,000 people to what, 7 games?
Something like that, isn't it? Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
7,000 people over 7 teams. There's 92 teams. There's us in the National League. There's the teams in the Conference South and Conference North. So that's another 60, 70, 72 clubs, something like that. So 160 clubs, 7 teams are allowed 1,000 people. It's hardly going to make any sort of mark on the economy of football. It's a start. I get that. I absolutely get that. But listen, we don't know, do we? There could be an announcement at any time from our government about it all changing again. So, we have to kind of. I don't want to be pessimistic in any way, but I have to manage the expectations of not only our players and our staff, but the supporters as well.
Yeah.
It's a very uncertain time still, and that makes it so important to stay balanced and to have a level of kind of knowledge about situation that the world is currently still in. It's the teams that have got the 1,000 people in. That money, that revenue that they take for 1,000 people will be like sand passing through your fingers. I mean, it won't even touch the sides. What it will do is it will give clubs a chance to try and operate in a COVID-safe way and practice ahead of hopefully 2,000 being in, 2,500 being in, 3,000. As soon as 3,000 people can get into a ground, National League and League Two are starting to look a little bit stronger in terms of the economy. half a League One even, and then you get to your bigger clubs in League One, and Sunderland need 20 odd thousand in there, I'm sure. But I think it's I believe it's day by day. I mean, some of the stats and figures that are coming out are quite frightening. I mean, we're really lucky to be in the southwest, and the southwest to have either been very fortunate, or for the people of the southwest have been incredibly intelligent and respectful of how dangerous this illness is. So we're probably in the safest region in the country right now.
Yeah, we're lucky for that, that's for sure.
Definitely.
And finally, the Kings Lynn game is going to be on TV, so at least the old supporters won't have to drive miles and possibly not get in, but they can watch it on telly.
Yeah, to watch us get beat on telly. Decent. Can't wait for that. No, I don't mean that. I'm only joking. I'm just saying what everyone probably thought when they heard we're on telly. So no. But yeah, look, it's a long way. First and foremost, I mean, that's a long way away, Kings Lynn, and we'll have to travel in advance of the match day. But it would be nice to have some supporters there. We definitely would. I'm sure Kings Lynn would be. When Kings Lynn went up, I'm sure they were looking at a Yeovil and a Notts County and teams like that as as games where they're going to really have a good away following. And the one thing that is the most impressive thing about Yeovil fans is the away following is magnificent, always magnificent. So it would be nice, but if not, they can watch us on telly and hear me swear live on telly.
Do you approach a TV game any differently, or is it just another game as far as you're concerned?
Just a game, just a game. It's not, it's not. In all due respect, it's not. We're not playing in front of 6 million viewers, are we? Like the FA Cup final, it's it is whatever the viewing ratings are, but it's just a normal game, and we go about it. It's a chance to showcase our football club to the, to probably the league. The league would probably watch on. And that's it really, but no, we just carry on doing what we do.
Thanks, Darren, and good luck for your rest of the pre-season games.
So, man, you forgot we were playing there, didn't you?
No, Bath City.
Yeah, you just checked something, didn't you? I saw you look away.
Bristol City, no, I know that one.
Bristol City, yeah, we're playing them, are we?
Under 21's always, under 23's one or the other, isn't it?
Age, you were doing so well, mate.
Bournemouth was it? I thought it was Bristol City.
You were doing so well.
Yeah, I was, wasn't I? Brilliant, mate.
so well. Cheers, mate.
How you doing, Darren? You okay?
Yeah, good, sir. Good, thanks.
I know you stressed how difficult next season is going to be, but should you do another promotion bid, who do you think is going to be your closest rivals?
Well, look, I mean, what do we all do at this time of year? We all have a look around and see who spent the most money, don't we? And then we work off of that. So, I looked at Neil's squad the other day at Notts County because they published that on social media, and he's got 23, pretty much 90% of that 23 senior player squad. Lots of league experience and foreign experience as well from the continent. Lads who have been in the championship with Leeds and things like that. So look, he's put together a very thorough and competitive, ambitious, probably the best word, a very ambitious squad. You look at Jim's work at Stockport. They've not been, they've not tiptoed round the market at all. They've just jumped straight in with 2 feet. Dagenham have probably been the biggest surprise, the way they've built their squad and how many players they've got and the types of players they've signed. I think it's 3x Barnet in there straight away from the playoff team that played us. That doesn't come cheap, definitely not. So you look, I think we all naturally kind of gravitate towards that method, and we then predict based off of those methods. And it's the right thing to do. Normally the teams that spend the most amount of money normally are closest to the prize that they've spent the money to try and attain. So all of those teams, I thought Hartlepool were a good side last year when we played them. I thought they were a good side. Plenty of teams. As soon as someone gets finds a team spirit or an organisation about their team in this division, any division by the way, it's capable of going on runs that can propel them to the top end of the leagues. We all forget that Solihull signed Rooney from Salford before lockdown. It's an unbelievable signing. So there's lots of teams that are capable, lots of teams, and we played what was the worst team in our league last year, Chorley at home. It took us 89 minutes to get the ball in the net, and we were third or something at the time. So it's the same every year. There were some really, really tough games week in, week out. That's the reason why we come up with all that mumbo jumble about taking one game at a time, because you really have to. If you're going to concentrate on something, you have to be in the moment, don't you? If I'm a student and I'm going into a lecture, if I'm not fully focused in the moment on what's being taught, I lose the ability to receive that information. No different to any performance. If my duty is to go and perform as an athlete, I've got to be in the moment, and I've got to be fully focused. So that's the biggest test for any manager. To when you look at the best side now in the country at the moment in Liverpool, the greatest achievement for me in terms of what their manager does is that he seems to roll them out every week with 100% energy and 100% focus, and off they go. It is incredible. I mean, complacency, never saw that. Lack of energy and athleticism, never see that. I mean, incredible ability that is. Now, whether that's a group of really good players that are managing themselves, or all him, or a little bit of both, I take me out off to him. I really do.
Just one curious one from me. I know you've got enough on your plate yourself, but with the women's team coming back to Hewish Park possibly, will you be having any sort of interest or focus on them at all?
Well, not many people know this, but I have a huge interest in women's football. Real interest in women's football, because between the ages of 17 and 22, I worked in women's football, or volunteered in women's football, shall I say, because it was voluntary, and the Women's Premier League South, because back then, this is it's 20 years ago. So 20 years ago, the Women's League was set up like the National League is. You had the National Prem, or the National Premier League, and then you had a Southern Division and Northern Division. And I worked at a club in a small village in Bedfordshire called Langford. Langford ladies played in the Women's Premier South, which was an incredible achievement for the village, to have. And I did 5 years of it. I absolutely loved it. Loved it. Never got paid a penny for it. I was working towards my UEFA B licence when I first went, and once I'd done that at 17, I just stayed there because I wanted to stay there, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And women footballers, still to this day, in all the levels that I've worked with, from the Premier League down, that group that I had there was still the most receptive group of learners that I've worked with. I mean, they were fantastic to work with, and you learn so many good qualities about your delivery and how to talk to people and things like that. So I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So if the women's team, and I've not been told much about the women's team, so my knowledge base of the arrangement and the coming together of, I know very little about at the moment. But if the women's team are playing at Hewish Park and I can be there, I'd love to be there and support them, and I will be there as a supporter. That's what I'll be there as, and it's a big thing for the club. I really believe that.
Oh, lovely. That's great. I think they're sharing with Taunton Town, so they're doing a bit of...
Even closer.
Is it? They're
Even closer to where I live. Good that. Even better.
Yeah.
I won't come to Hewish, I'll just go to Tournament.
Lovely. That's all from me, Darren. Thank you very much.
Top man.